I'm Cookie Miller, and this is Worth the Wait. Join me every week as I explore profound weight loss solutions beyond just diet and exercise, because a lifestyle change starts with changing your mind. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Worth the Wait. I'm your host, Cookie Miller, and today we are talking about overeating. So whether you are someone who overindulges throughout the day or restricts heavily and overindulges at the end of the day, this will be helpful for you. So let's get into it. So tip number one is to avoid mindless eating. Mindless eating usually involves a distraction and an endless pit. Now, what I mean by that is that the distraction, of course, would be something like watching TV or being on your phone. And then that endless pit is going to be that family-sized bag of chips or that package of Oreos that you brought with you to the couch. So you may go in with the intentions of only eating a little bit, but of course, with the TV or whatever distraction you have, and then that delicious taste of the sweet and salty snack, you are bound to overdo it. So instead of setting yourself up for failure in this way, I want you to ask yourself, am I really hungry or am I just bored? And then find a satiating and filling snack to have instead. Some of the things that I like are roasted chickpeas, tuna fish, and edamame is a really, really good one too. You maybe even can have the chips or have the Oreos, but you need to measure them. The worst thing that you can do is to take that whole bag with you and just start going in. You have to measure it so that you have some type of boundary with the food. Remember, there's nothing wrong with having those types of snacks, but there needs to be a level of awareness when you're eating those things. Now, along those same lines, it has been heavily researched that eating while watching TV usually leads to overeating. The brain is so preoccupied with what you're doing, you may totally miss your body's fullness cue, or you may not be getting full because of the type of snack that you're eating, and then you end up overeating. So, you know what I'm going to say next. Maybe eating while watching TV is not a good thing for you. And I get it because this is something that I struggle with as well. But here's a few things that I do to help me with this. So for me, I tend to eat breakfast outside on my balcony in the morning. It allows for that first glimpse of outside, a little bit of fresh air, and hopefully some sunshine, usually sunshine because I'm in Texas. And sunshine, of course, is great for you. In the afternoons, I tend to sit at my dining room table and eat, and sometimes I'll put my phone in the bedroom to avoid that distraction as well. And these are just a few tips to stop you from mindless eating. My next tip is to add veggies to each meal. This is literally the biggest tip I could give you. Don't roll your eyes. This really, really worked. And I hadn't realized how long I'd actually been using this little trick until recently. So the first thing I want you to do is when you prepare your main meal, let's say that's fish and potatoes. Now, in addition to that, you want to add at least 2 to 3 handfuls of veggies. For me, I usually go with a bag salad because it's easy and it's convenient, but this can be a mixed melody with carrots, broccoli, cauliflower, or whatever cruciferous vegetable you prefer. Brussels sprouts are another really good one. So you want to eat most of your veggies first, then eat your meal. And when you do this, I want you to notice how full and satisfied you feel after. Now you just want to wash, rinse, and repeat this process. I do this for lunch and dinner. With breakfast, it's usually oatmeal. And here's a free tip with that. If you add flaxseed to your oatmeal or chia seeds, it'll add a bit of protein plus keep you fuller for longer. And as far as the flaxseed, it's also surprisingly tasty. So ground flaxseed actually has the taste and texture of brown sugar when you put it in oatmeal. I know. It's so delicious. So seriously, if you try this, send me a DM on IG. I'm at Cookie Miller. I want to know. My next tip is to not eat your emotions. This one is so hard to do. I get it. But listen, I bet if you look back at any time you've eaten your emotions, the decision has been fast and without hesitancy. And there's a reason for that. When you are in a heightened emotional state, you tend to act fast to try to ease or avoid the pain or the feeling of the emotion. But guess what? As my therapist tells me, you have to feel your feelings. So I think that the first step here is to acknowledge that you're having this unpleasant feeling, and that's okay. Then maybe you'll journal about it, but of course, that may sound too woo-woo and unrealistic, especially in the moment, but don't knock it until you try it. Now, if you're more of a realist and you're like, I'm not even going to start off with trying that, what I find a bit more doable is to add a buffer in the form of time or a healthy option. So what I mean by that is, for example, instead of going for what you're going for as far as the snack, is there a healthier option that you can have? Maybe you can use some type of food to give you a buffer in between. So maybe you grab some grapes and sit down and do that journal entry, or maybe you go outside and take a walk, feel those feelings while also releasing some stress. My next tip to avoid overeating is to cut off eating at a reasonable time. Do you know that this, along with cutting out liquid calories, is probably one of the easiest ways to lose weight? So what I mean by that is, people who drink a lot of soda, or if you drink a lot of soda, literally just cutting that out alone will help you to lose weight because there's just so many empty calories in soda. The same can go for things like really sugary Starbucks drinks or coffees or Dunkin' or whatever that you tend to get has so many calories in it. Juices and all of these different things just hold so many extra calories that are unnecessary. So this tip of cutting off your eating at a reasonable time, as well as cutting out liquid calories, is something that can seriously help you to lose your weight with very minimal effort on your end. So many people continue to eat well past dinner time, and those foods that they have past dinner are usually what? It's usually snacks. So snacky types of foods like chips straight out of the bag, like the bottomless pit, right? From tip number 1. So if you stopped with a light snack after dinner, you'd probably be within your calorie range to maintain or lose weight, depending on your goal. But eating to eat or to have something to do while you watch TV or because you're bored or emotional, like in the previous tip, may be keeping you from your weight loss or maintenance goals. So let's say you find yourself eating late into the night. Don't now try to stop eating at 5 p.m. I'm all about making things very realistic. So I'm going to tell you the same way I tell my clients. Instead of making such a drastic change, think about, can you stop eating 30 minutes earlier than you did yesterday? And once you do that, can you keep it up for the week? After you keep it up for a week, can you push it another 30 minutes and do this until you're at a reasonable time? The cutoff time itself, of course, will vary for everyone. Now listen, don't have that spirit of conviction have you click off of this next one, because it is very important, and I know that you've probably heard it before, but listen, drink more water. I cannot begin to express how important it is to drink enough water. A dehydrated body is a craving body. A dehydrated body is a sluggish body. And what do you do when you tend to feel sluggish? I mean, I know a particular candy bar company that markets toward this exact feeling. You're not you when you're hungry, right? The commercials show slow and groggy people contrasted by being bright-eyed after having the candy bar. Well, here's a little secret. It is just a sugar rush that they're having. That's it. You could have any sugary food and get that same temporary boost. I'd like them to really go out and find people an hour, 2 hours after and see how they're feeling. They're probably crashing at that point. So sometimes that feeling of hunger is really a feeling of thirst. So try drinking a bit of water before going for the candy bar next time. And again, I have ladies that I work with start small. So if you find that you're only drinking 1 or 2, let's say 16-ounce bottles of water per day, you don't want to just turn around and the next day say, okay, tomorrow I'm drinking a gallon of water. Instead, I want you to focus on getting to 32 ounces, then 64 ounces. It's all about setting small and realistic goals and making those changes over time. So we covered a lot today, but there are still more tips for overeating. Some of them are really nuanced and will probably require a podcast of their own. So if this is something you're interested in, I want you to shoot us a DM on Instagram. We're at Worth the Wait Podcast. And based on the responses, we may do a part 2. So just to recap, we talked about avoiding mindless eating, adding veggies to each meal, not eating your emotions, cutting off eating at a reasonable time, and drinking more water. So that's all I got for you today, guys. Thank you so much for listening to Worth the Wait. If this episode or any of our episodes have helped you, please consider leaving us a 5-star review. You can also take a screenshot and tag us on IG at Worth the Wait Podcast, and we will repost. Thank you guys again for listening, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye.